All Ground, Presence, Text and Community Engagement, supported by CXNI, Creative People, Places and Networks. The project is a collaboration between Dr. Matt Jennings, lecturer in drama at the University of Ulster, Zoe Ramsey, ensemble member of the Echo Echo Dance Theatre Company, Antonia Shiner, former member of the Malia Branaya Repertory Theatre Company, and professional actors Sorka Shanahan and Sean Donegan. The project is CXNI funded. CXNI is funded by the Arts and Humanities Research Council to research the processes of knowledge exchange among the creative communities of Northern Ireland. Research into collaborative interactions, such as the Old Ground project, will be carried out by the CXNI team based at the University of Ulster and Queen's University. CXNI's primary research interests relate to the processes of knowledge exchange and collaboration that occur through projects such as Old Ground. CXNI's main focus is directed at how individuals and groups share knowledge in creative environments and how these processes may be further supported. The intentions of the Old Ground group was to develop methods of integrating text and device movement interpreting two-hander scenes from the theatrical canon. The project also involved a series of workshops with the University of Ulster drama students and community participants from the Greater Chantal community, followed by a public presentation of the development processes at the University of Ulster Magee and the Echo Echo Dance Centre.
We wanted to, we saw this opportunity for funding for like a collaborative exchange in the arts, and we've been kind of developing this idea of movement with text, movement with theatre, but as them not being separate things. And we saw this as a great opportunity to kind of develop this idea, have funding for it so we can get other people involved.
The process involved working with 3 different communities. They include 6 amateur writers and actors from the Greater Chantal Community Arts, 20 University of Ulster dance and drama students, and 7 teenage girl dancers from the Greater Chantal Community Arts. However, throughout this video documentation, only the university students and the actors from the writers from the Greater Chantal community will be looked at in detail. At the end of the process, as proof of the concept, at the end of the series will be a public demonstration of the performance as a work in progress and an open rehearsal for invited students, staff and the general public to be held at the Echo Echo Dance Theatre. My name is Mickey Quick. I'm a final year drama student at the University of Ulster Magee. I am using the CXNI project, Old Ground, to help with my independent project. The project is entitled, What are the factors and issues affecting the video documentation of a device performance and community engagement process? When investigating the ethics, limitations and applications of video documentation of performance processes in community engagement, I found 2 aspects significantly important. They include presenting multiple perspectives and showing a sensitivity to the project. While documenting the process, it was key that I observed both these points. And by the end of this video, I hope this is clear.
We started this project and we had these people interested, and we also got 2 other actors involved, Sorka and Sean, and they're 2 professional actors. So we spent a lot of time, the 5 of us, myself, Tonya, Matt, Sorka and Sean, exploring different ways of how to kind of find this connection between text and movement. When I say movement, I mean like micro movement.
There was so much to learn, so much about my body movement, the space between performers, that the realization for me, I think, during the process was how much subconsciously as an actor I would bring to preparing for a role or rehearsals with other actors that I didn't have terms for. I didn't have words to describe what was happening in that space between people, but this process was about discovering what that was and how to give a name to it and have a process to get to like make sure that the space between people is so real and in the moment that the words just are the words that you have to say.
There's definitely a lack of understanding of like physical movement in actors somehow. What does it mean and the space between people and how it works. There's very particular. It's not just here. It's in Russia as well. But there's no really like a practice when you're more aware of the distance between and what this distance means. I mean, we played a lot with proximities, close proximities.
This is another example of when I felt I had to join in and engage in the process in order to understand what was going on. As you can see, at times I found it funny and a bit uncomfortable when I was challenged with looking at different proximities between me and my partner. This is something I never tried before. It is interesting to note how I felt at times experiencing this closeness.
And we did a lot of things of just watching each other think. So Tanya would lead us through maybe stories in our head that we have to imagine and visualize. And when you're watching someone doing that for real, in the real time, really thinking about things, something changes in their movement and their torso and their posture and how they are, and it's so readable, and you can just watch that in itself. So by actually having these real, genuine thoughts in your head completely affects how you, and then it goes the other way as well. How you move your body then affects how you think and feel. And we discover all this just through the process, and it was an incredible experience.
Because it was so open and positive, and like, you know, kind of Tanya and Zoe were responding to what we were giving them, and we were responding to them, and so there was like a growing. They're really feeling like it was a growing together, and you can only do that if everyone in the group trusts one another, and there's a really kind of like nurturing feel, which they absolutely brought.
Sessions together were just fun, and we actually found a lot of our answers through playing games. Actually, that's what we've kind of figured this out, that it's when actors are on stage, they seem to have this they're separate from each other. They're all, this is my character, this is my character, these are my lines, these are my lines, and there's no interaction really between them.
It's a game. Like you when you play, you can't, if you play on your own, it's one thing. But if you play with somebody, you has to have a relation. Otherwise, the game won't happen. Like if you don't understand why this person does this move, you can't make next move. Because then, like you have to make sense. Like you see, he's kicking the ball this way. If you just kind of randomly be running around, it would be strange, wouldn't it? So that's what usually happens when we see on stage. And people, it seems like they're doing a play, but if you kind of look carefully, you can see that they have no whatsoever interest in each other or what each other's bringing, or what they kind of actually meaning. You know, quite often when it's two people on stage, what you see in the theatre, that one person does something, talking about like kind of playing its own thing, and another person playing its own thing, and there's nothing between them.
But if you think of it as a game, that both of you are on stage, you're in this game together, and the only way you can understand the game is if you're reacting and responding, like in the present, to that person, what they're saying, what they're giving you, and you react completely in the moment to that, instead of a pre-decided way that you've just learned your lines yourself separate and learned how your character has reacted. It's actually how you actually react and respond to that as your character being a new character.
This is an example of when I felt I had to join in to fully understand and engage with the process going on and to understand what Tanya was saying.
So what I'm focusing is this certain feeling of the game. So this sort of like, you want to kind of motivate it. Yeah. So you want this. So then really focus. You really focus it on like what people like is kind of want to keep this really going. So this kind of I want to keep this attention for when you play the scene. This is the same like a game thing, and that's what's so great about it. So even if the all emotions and all the things are very true, but you still know that you have this zigzag game with the person. So play together.
This is a video clip of the workshop that Tanya and Zoe facilitated with the University of Ulster students. They were trying out the ideas that had been somewhat explored by Matt, Sorha and Sean. The students seemed to be really engaged in the workshop, and some had some very useful feedback to give. Eileen McMaster, a drama student, said, "I enjoyed looking at the different levels of closeness in the space, but I would have loved to have done the workshop over a number of weeks." Megan Akane, a dance student, said, "At the end of the workshop, I had a clear idea of how different parts of my body could be isolated and was aware of how they made me feel and how they made other people appear. Both ladies led the workshop, keeping the atmosphere relaxed, which made me feel more confident about taking part and giving my full ability in the workshop."
The drum student was great. There are different dynamics in the smaller groups and the bigger groups. And the smaller you can pay attention to the one person, give more time to one person. Then the bigger groups you kind of watch the work with the group dynamics and see how things are kind of, because it's a little bit different. It was a really good, like when the students came, it was a real pleasure to work with them because they were really joining in.
Yeah.
But you want that commitment kind of from not because of its their university hours that they have to do it, but because they want to do it. Yeah. Otherwise, it's kind of it doesn't go anywhere. This experience just goes wiped out. So for me, if you really want to do something with communities or whatever groups you're doing, so the project I was doing with Sorkamat, it has to be that engagement. It has to be I'm bringing something or maybe working something for a longer period of time, layers and layers of it, all the same exercise for different people can bring different bring out different things. So it's not about exercise, it's about what you're interested in, what you're focusing on.
It worked well by sometimes not working, and that's how you kind of. Well, for me, that's how you figure things out. Sometimes it doesn't work. Okay, it didn't work. Why didn't it work? Right, okay, and then you understand a bit more then about it through that. And then when it did work, it was like, wow, oh God, some of the girls that were there, really something really clicked with them too. And one of the girls even had said, she had been trying to do something like this before, but it was taught or was told her in a different way, and she really got it now with how we explained it to her, how we kind of led her workshops, looking at all these different ways, and she really connected to it, made sense to her. And where the fourth clap would be, we're going to put in a hey. Hey! No, right? So, when you have the hey, you keep it there because you want to show everyone you're on a hey.
This summer warm activity was about letting the students acknowledge and share the presence of each other in the space. So we wanted the hey, the energy, to be held, so it was shared around the room.
really enjoyed having them there because it was such an intensive process, and for the most part it was me, Tanya, Zoe, Matt and Sean in the room actually. That getting when the students came in, it did just give a lift. Like there was, kind of these different energies, like and the exercises that we've been trying out that for us were going in one direction. Then suddenly, the students would come in and try. I knew, like you'd see something completely different. So it was like, oh, it's really exciting to see, and they thought they did brilliantly.
So what's your name? Paige. Once you decided to lay down there and you joined, it was like it's kind of we were kind of happy to do that. It wasn't that we'll do that because nobody did it before. It was sort of like it was still her choice to do that particular like right or wrong thing, but still you have to decide. Yeah, and there's so many choices, and it's very important why the choice you made, because it's really interesting as an observer.
And so we approached Matt Jennings, who works at the University of Ulster. He's the drama lecturer, isn't he? He approached him and asked if he would like to be involved in this and kind of help us get other kind of people involved. And he was really keen on working with Greater Chantal arts community because he'd worked with them before, and just exploring this idea because they work with text.
The Chantal group, I was maybe wrongly expecting them to not be maybe as enthusiastic to join in and do the work, and maybe be more comfortable talking about it, or kind of talking about the ideas of it. But and I was so thrilled. They were fantastic. They absolutely kind of got it.
And don't worry about the time. And if I think I need to, I'll say something, or I stop, or I would do something. So don't worry about that.
In this practice, both participants were not allowed to speak. They had to very much focus on their minute and micro movements. Both were given intentions, and both told to make offers, and then it was up to the other participant to reject or receive these offers. As you can see, both participants had to take as much time as they needed, and they were not allowed to rush. It's interesting to observe the small facial expressions and gestures when time is not a factor. It's about real life and genuine thoughts, and that's clear to see in the scene.
Okay, so this one.
Like that's one of the things I love about doing community drama in general, is that if you are able to get people to step outside of what they think that they can do and what they should do, and if you get them just to step outside of that, and you kind of create safe space, and they know that they're not going to be laughed at, that everything's going to be fine, and it's just fun, or it's just they inevitably people learn stuff about themselves, people surprise themselves, people surprise kind of seeing other people do stuff that because that was really clear, a couple of people were like, oh, I don't think that I could do that, or I don't think that you're really good, that was really good. And you see people get and that confidence that comes, and I learned to do something new, I learned something new about myself that I didn't know, and that was definitely.
But there has to be a longer, deeper process to be able to bring something. They were having an understanding, but for me it's not really that important, because they have an understanding of each other anyway.
Unlike Matt, Sora and Sean, the Chantal group only received one session. Through a longer process and engagement, there would have been more development. Following up from my intentions for the project, I decided to ask Zoe, Tanya and Sorka their thoughts and feelings on my presence during the process.
I also think that, and I'm not just saying this, but I think that having you in the room and having there's kind of an awareness. It was never kind of like a conscious kind of the cameras in the corner, or that this is like we're being watched.
Yeah.
But there was something about having someone else in the room who is documenting what we're doing that made it, I suppose, more reminded me in a way that that this is part of something bigger and it is part of the process.
You have an ability to be invisible. So you have a very sort of this presence when you can just remove yourself from things. Sometimes you even don't notice when you move from one point to another point. You kind of thought that you were there, and you're not there anymore. You moved somewhere else. So I also have this ability when I'm very engaged with something. I don't really concentrate on something. I don't really distract myself from anything else.
And actually, I have to say that you were absolutely, you kind of were such the right person to be there, because you were always very positive, and how you were saying about in something as well that needs, like any creative endeavor, needs to be nurtured, needs to be kind of there needs to be trust and a positive energy around the place, and I felt that you brought that.
It didn't really phase us much with you being the camera, because you have a really lovely presence. You just you're very calm when you're moving around, so you don't even notice. And maybe sometimes you're here and I know you're there, but we'll be doing something and I'll look and you're then over there. Oh, I didn't even notice how that he'd gotten there. No, it was never kind of heavy, even from the beginning. And because it started at the beginning, actually you were there from the beginning, because that was just another element, another factor to our workshops, and it was just normal.
I believe that through the project I was attentive, respectful and sensitive at all times. It was important for me to be as quiet and calm as possible when moving around the room, so I didn't disrupt the process. I am glad the other practitioners felt that I was successful in this aspect. I believe I have gained numerous perspectives of the process. Not only do I have my own video documentation, but also at numerous times I took part in the process, as well as asking Sorha, Zoe and Tanya their thoughts on the process through interviews.